is in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Myanmar goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
But something a bit more fun for us to discuss, and this will close out the pod and indeed the season, and that is the prestigious Vic Akers Wonderland Awards. Lots of categories, lots of criteria, some awards you want to win and some awards you want to stay clear of. So we have awards for players and we have awards for the team and seasons as a whole. So we'll leave the players till last and we'll talk about the entirety of the season, and it gives us a chance to sort of go over some of the highs and lows if we haven't done so already. So firstly, disappointing moment of the season. A few come to mind, but I'll let Lottie and Matt go first, and then I'll try if I can pick a fresh one. So Lottie, I'll give you first dibs. What was your disappointing moment of the season?
Losing to Tottenham Hotspur at Shite Hart Lane.
Yeah.
I just couldn't cope with it. His tactics went out the window and he went into full panic mode. And to witness that, it was just disappointing. I mean,
you are aware you just swore. This is the second time you've sworn on the pod now.
No, I've said this word before. The last one, I'm embarrassed of myself. I do apologise to our listeners.
So the one will defeat at Spurs. I can get behind that. Matt, what was your disappointment of the season?
I would say the game against Paris, just the penalties, there was no real conviction in a lot of them, and it just went pear-shaped, and you're expecting to get through to the knockout, and you've messed it all up.
I was going to go for a more obscure one. I was going to say that the biggest disappointment of the season was the fact that we hardly saw Dina Hurtig and the fact that we never got the minutes. But I've actually a late change of heart, and I'm going to say that my biggest disappointment of the season has been our set pieces. And I think it's just the lack of the extremely low conversion rate of our set pieces to goals is just we didn't fail to win the league because of it. But it basically meant that we were playing with a hand tied behind the back, because every time we get the ball in, it's either cleared at the near post or headed away. I got to the point where I just had no conviction we were ever going to score from a set piece. That's one of the reasons I was so surprised we equalised away at Man City. And obviously we don't know the circumstances, but I think we could all have a guess. Our set piece coach has now since departed, Patrick Vinquist, I think he was, or somebody eloquently put on Twitter, Patrick Losequist, as I think he's probably going to be known as. So a new set piece coach required, hopefully a better one. And I think it doesn't help that our men's team have been so good at set pieces this season. It really does put our women's team in a sort of sharp contrast. Something that definitely needs to be looked at, because if you're not converting from set pieces, you're missing out on a very key point in the game where you can pick up some cheap goals, especially when you're not really at it.
That may be why Kim Little wasn't scoring 5 out of 5 then.
Oh well, no, I'm talking about corners, Matt. I know penalties are penalties, but I think
penalties is still a set piece.
Right. Okay. Corners and crosses, if we're going to go down that route, but certainly corners just apocalyptic bad. And remember the game.
Boys, stop nitpicking.
I'll finish with the opening game of the season against Liverpool, when I think we threw in a record amount of crosses and didn't get a goal. Just no imagination, no planning there. So yeah, for me, it was the set pieces. You did kind of lean on this one, because the next one is worst game of the season. So obviously that was my worst game of the season for me, was the White Hart Lane defeat. It was disappointing, but just because every player on that team now has to live with the fact that they were the first women's team to lose to Spurs, and that will be with them for the rest of their life. They were the first ones to do it, and I'm not saying it's a shameful thing, it was always going to happen, but now it has happened. And I remember walking away from that, and to come after that Chelsea game as well, after that high. Matt, what was for the worst game of the season? Because that happened.
You've nicked my one. Originally I was going to say West Ham, but I thinking back to it, I think the North London derby's worse, because just you're walking up to the stadium and I'm from territory, and it's for me it didn't feel very homely compared to Islington and Highbury. and it just felt really, really hostile, and it wasn't a great. I didn't really enjoy the game. I didn't think the players really turned up. I think the only brilliant part was right at the end where Chloe Cass goes and we have the corner and she storms up the other end of the pitch, puts in that brilliant slide tackle, and that's the saving grace at the end of the game. At least it's 2-0, not 2-0.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, it was a toss-up between West Ham and Spurs for me, so I'll take the other one. And I think the West Ham defeat, as bad as it was, all the goals I was behind, sadly, because the first half we were by far the better team. Just didn't have any attacking space.
Didn't kick on at all.
Didn't kick on in the second half. Made really stupid mistakes in the first half. We didn't take anywhere near the amount of chances we should have done. And for me, the anti-Jonas sentiment really grew after that defeat. That I know it was the third defeat of the season, and it's the old 3 strikes and you're out. But that was the game I saw on social media, and I was quite shocked by it. How loudly people were turning on Jonas and going, no, this isn't right. And I was quite shocked by it. And not so much the Spurs game, not so much, maybe because it was obviously with the Chelsea game and it was Christmas and maybe people weren't thinking too much on it. But the West Ham game, that was the one. Lottie, what was your worst game of the season?
Chelsea away in that damn bloody sockgate.
Yeah.
I think I had a massive palaver getting in the first place.
Yeah.
So that had already ticked me off before I got into the ground, and then this whole thing with the socks, and Arsenal should know better, and then the results, that game could go in the bin and be forgotten.
Worst moment of the season, a few have come to mind, but I think we've had a general consensus on this one, and we think despite all of them, and I can think of, like I said, loads of them, some of the moments happen in the defeats, some of maybe the injuries we've had and so forth, and some of the sad moments we've had, but in reality there's only one moment, Lottie, isn't there?
Oh yeah, and that's Frida Leonardson-Morning's collapse at Wolves. It was if you go back to the World Cup for Ericsson.
Euros. It was Euros, wasn't it? Euros.
Yeah. The BBC gave me enough trauma, and to see that actually happen at a game, it's actually terrifying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That was a hard one. Again, it happens. It's one of the ones you don't see when it happens because the ball has moved elsewhere. But you look back and you can usually tell when the way the player is prone on the ground that it's not a normal, like a muscle or a fracture or something muscle pulled or even ACL. Just the way that they are on the ground and the panic shown by the players. And we should say that we commend the speed of the medics on the day to get on the pitch, get Frida stable, get her off the pitch. And it did lead to, we should say, in sort of bittersweet sort of way, it led to one of the more beautiful moments of the season, which we'll get to later, with that cup final. But certainly that I was a bit shook after that one, and of course with no phone signal and lack of information, you can't really know what's happening. You just end up fearing the worst. And we should say it's great that Frida's back. She obviously scored the Brighton game, and I think she even scored in the international break as well for Norway, I believe, as well. So great to see that she's made a recovery, and hope to see her again next season. You did kind of lean on this one a bit, Lottie. The most embarrassing moment of the season. I've got my thought on this one. Might be the same as yours.
Oh gosh, it's got to be the Stina Blackstenius goal against Villa.
And really, go for that one, okay?
Yeah, she walked very sheepish, but it also kind of collaborates with the funniest moment of the season of Rachel Daly getting carded for complaining.
Right. Okay.
We got away with that one, so yeah, that's the one for me. It's embarrassing, but at the same time, it's absolutely hilarious. If that makes sense.
Matt, what was your embarrassing moment of the season?
I would actually say, there was a refereeing decision.
Embarrassing.
When the referee. No, sorry, embarrassing. Right, I'll actually say the stewarding. In some of the games this season when fans have collapsed.
Yes.
Sorry, bring back North London Derby away. Fan collapsed. We're trying to get someone to come over and help. The fans are trying to ask for some sort of help, so they're trying to ask the assistant. They're trying to ask the goalkeeper. It was so embarrassing. Like, it took so long to get attention. It was just really embarrassing to see. Like all the physios coming from the other end of the pitch to help someone out. It was just embarrassing.
I mean, we commended the on the day at Wolves. Obviously, the medical team were pretty sharpish with Frida, but yeah, I think it was the home game at Man City and the away game at Spurs. Twice, somebody collapsed in the stands, and yeah, the lack of communication with the stewards, very, very poor. The fact that you're having to rely on trying to tell the players, to tell the ref, we're lucky.
Get Lino's attention, even like I remember looking at that Lino. She looked at us and looked straight back at the game, and it's just like the game stopped. Hello, we need some help.
It's. I don't think it's something in the game itself. I think it's something he's working on, and you'd have thought of instances like Fabrice Muamba and Christian Eriksen. How people should treat not just the player seriously, but also the fans' well-being as well. It's the old saying, no fan should, not be able to go home, sort of thing. Every fan should come home safely, and we're lucky in this instance that in both fans' cases they've made a recovery and are back supporting Arsenal again. But that was shameful in both cases. I have to do better. For me, it's kind of a double whammy, this one, and it leans what Lottie's saying, but delayed kickoffs. And Arsenal had 2 in a row. I'm going to say Sockgate, but also the bus delay. Now, the bus delay is not really Arsenal's fault. I think there was an accident on the M1 because I had to take a massive diversion through, I think it was Dunstable, to avoid it. But apparently the Arsenal players were on the coach. They were stuck on the coach. They were having to warm up, and we were hearing rumours of warming up on the hard shoulder and stuff. But thankfully, it didn't affect them on that day. They wanted to beat Aston Villa 3-1. The previous game, I mean, we'll never know if it did affect them or not, but they're having to buy socks from the Chelsea gift shop. Just unbelievable how that's happened. Just say, could you imagine if, let's say, Chelsea players were having to come into the Armoury and buying Arsenal socks off the
that wouldn't happen.
I know, it's just shambles, really, really poor. And I would say these sort of things, we didn't lose the game because we had the wrong socks on, but it set the tone for what was to happen in what was, I think you're right, Lottie, in terms of a performance, the worst performance of the season, and just embarrassing all round. To go on to a more fun level, the funniest moment of the season. Matt, I'll come to you first. What was the moment that made you laugh the most? I've got a few in my mind, but I'm hoping that you're going to pick something different.
Steelers' goal against Bristol.
Bristol?
Sorry, no, not Bristol, Brighton, where she's tried to score, completely missed it. The defender and goalkeeper's been sent to the ice cream shop, and she's managed to get a second bite at it. I loved it so much, and I remember when we were talking about it, I asked you, did she mean that properly? And you went, no, she just completely missed it.
It was like, it's like when a kid, when you run around in a circle, sort of wind up the power. It was very, very bizarre, but it was classic Stina. Lottie, what was your funniest moment of the season?
Oh, funniest moment. I've already kind of said it. So
what, the goal against Villa?
Yeah, and she kind of sheepishly walked off and Daly got started. We got very extremely lucky there, but it's embarrassing as much as it is funny.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Rachel Daly being booked. I was going to go Stina goals, but obviously taking both of them. But I've got another one, and it's more of a private chuckle. And it didn't. I don't think I laughed at it at the time, but I can look back and laugh now. And that's Ramirez's goal in the Conti Cup final.
Yes, but VAR done its job.
I know.
VAR worked. It's a miracle.
Just that moment, VAR goal, and we're on the knee thinking, oh, here we go again. And then you look up on the screen and you see that Erin Cuthbert has tried to ever so subtly bat the ball with her arm and hope that no one notices.
How did none of you two see that? I could see it easily.
I was screaming handball with you, man. What are you talking about?
We saw Cuthbert run through, and I think there was an element of suspicion, but it happened so quickly. But when it's up on the big screen, and you can just see the hand just bat the ball casually forward, and you just think,
we were all shouting handball before that even came on the screen from our seats anyway.
And looking from a neutral perspective,
who were we with? And they were asking about the situation. I was just like, "Can you not see it? Could you not see it clearly that she's hit her arm?" Luckily, we were in the right place at the right time. But if we were on the side or anything like that, we wouldn't have seen that.
Luckily,
we had enough height to see. Didn't we?
Luckily, VAR was in place for that particular game and not for any other games this season. And yeah, I mean, it's as a neutral. If you would take a neutral at it, it's a shame because the Ramirez goal was actually very good. It's a very well executed shot, and I think thankfully for us, it was disallowed, and it was very funny to have that moment to enjoy. Okay, your personal favourite moment. I'll say my one first, because it's personal to me. I've been following football since about 2004 to 2005. I went to my first game in 2016. I don't go to many games, and following the women's football has allowed me to go to pretty much all games in the season. But since 2016, going to games, I'd never experienced a penalty shootout in a stadium before. So the Conti Cup group stage game against Spurs, which is up there as one of the games of the season, just in terms of its chaos. But to go to penalties, I've endured penalties from the safety of my sofa at home. I've never been one in person. To experience it for the first time, and again to see us win it, unlike in the Champions League, that was a very fun, very special moment for me this season. Thank you, Sabs, and thank you for Yen Beatty for finding the top corner. Lottie, was there a moment for you that shined this season?
I think it was the moment that Frida came back onto the pitch and her coming on for Stina, and it was just something in that was just perfect for me, especially after the trauma of being in at Wolves for that. So I think it's just kind of reset everything emotionally, and I'm still got a bit of emotional hangover from the season, to be honest.
Matt, any moments for you were quite personal that meant a lot?
I think my favourite one was just after we won the Community Cup. The players came over, they asked the DJ to play The Angel, and they all started saying, "This is for you." Manuel was getting, everyone was sort of getting their photos. Mido decided to go be a cat for 5 minutes and run the entire length of the staging with the social media phone. Them all standing around and doing the personal lifts to sort of the fans and sort of say thank you, almost sort of taking it all in, and us all singing together. I think that sort of shows that everyone was sort of, on that day, was singing on the same sort of team sheet, hymn sheet, whatever you want to call it.
If I was to have a close second, it is the Spurs game for me, but the close second was being behind the goal when Viv scored at Liverpool. It's a close second. And it's one of the moments of the season, but the penalty shootout, just because it's something I never experienced before, and I hope I never have to experience ever again, especially in a cup final. It'd be awful. And it being against Spurs was very special. I think I can probably guess where some of you will go with this. But best game of the season, Matt, what was your favourite game? Or what do you think was the best game of the season?
Beating Chelsea.
Which one?
Home.
Emirates Stadium.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
And then just handing Lassie the ball and just go and get your second goal, and she just absolutely buries it, which was fantastic.
Yeah. Lottie, best game of the season for you?
Oh, do you know what? This is one I haven't actually written down an answer for. Oh God, I still don't know. I've enjoyed so many games this season. I think the one that jumps out at me is probably being at Chelsea, at the Emirates Stadium.
It's the same as Matt, that game. Yeah. I thought you've all gone for the Conti Cup final. I thought you've all played the Conti.
I've already played the Conti Cup card.
So have I. So
yeah. I mean, we could all, if we were to have a unanimous sort of vote on this and say what was the best game, it's probably the Conti Cup final, the trophy, and we will get onto some of the moments behind that.
Yeah, but that's the easy answer.
Yeah.
That is the easy answer. It's a bit like my favourite moment I've said on another podcast is singing with the players. North London Forever. That is just everything.
I really enjoyed the home game at Chelsea, and I'll say that I made a really bad prediction. I said to them, right, we've got to win the league now, otherwise this win will be meaningless. And then unfortunately we then lost like 3 games and just like we're out of the season in the rest of the game. So yeah, that was a really good game, and just sort of gave us sort of maybe a window of where this team might go, and obviously seeing Emma sort of roll her eyes when Amanda nods in the second to give us the lead again, just incredible. But I want to go for a really, really obscure game because the Conti Cup final, my voice was hoarse at the end of it. Just I couldn't sing by the end of it. I want to give a shout out to the away trip to Southampton. I want to give a shout out to that, and it's not because of, and again, it's more of a personal one to me, but it's not because of the quality of the game, because the quality of the game wasn't great, but I want to give a shout. I said it many times, but I just thought it was one of the best away trips I did that season. This season is one of the first for me. I've actually started doing away trips. Did the Liverpool away trip. Did Spurs, unfortunately, but did Southampton the Conti Cup and Reading as well. But the Southampton game, seeing a Championship club have that level of support, and they almost did it. The fact that they almost did it as well, and then obviously the late winner and them celebrating in front of us, and it was great being at St Mary's for that one. And that one for me just was one of the fun ones. But also a shout out to beating Spurs on penalties. So we did funniest moment. Did we do best moment? It was the best moment of the season. So this was the overall, not personal to you. My one was the end of the Conti Cup final. And as you said, Matt, celebrating with the fans. And the key one for me, and I will happily rewatch it time and time again, is the players linking arms and doing the second rendition of North London Forever in front of us and seeing it on Instagram and us singing with. I don't think I could sing by the end of it. I should be. I
think most of us couldn't, to be honest.
But yeah, I mean, when Steiner scored, I was like, oh my goodness, we actually could win this. And then seeing the players, all of them singing along and laughing with each other, the trade one of us. I mean, I will immortalize that moment in my brain for life, because that was just for one moment we were all the same, player and fan, manager, didn't matter who you were, we were all Arsenal in that one moment, and we were all unified. And I know the word togetherness got battered around last season, and I don't think we were as together maybe as a team and maybe as a fan base this season, but for that one moment this season, we were all together, and I will treasure with that. Lottie, what was your best moment?
Seeing as you stole mine, I'm going to go for my second favourite moment. I think it was probably singing Chloe Lacaste's song with her, and they're all jumping around, getting her in the middle, and it's just amazing to see how humble she is. And this is obviously post Conti Cup final, after North London Forever, and I think that sort of video and knowing that I could, as a fan, I could be a part of that is just. It's just brilliant, and she's got the chant of the season, and she's the most humble player ever.
Do you think this is a lot about Chloe Lacaste's season, that she's been more well renowned for a chant in her name rather than her performances?
Yes.
I'm just saying. I think she's had the biggest impact.
If you think about it, if you think of the original song, which is "Vile Vile" by ABBA, that is one of their biggest songs.
Yeah.
So it's gonna happen.
It is, but
it's catchy, and you're like, even now when I'm listening to it, I'm switching between the Bukayo Saka and Chloe Lacaste. I'll be switching verses as the song goes along, even though I'm not actually anywhere.
It's just a shame, like with Saka. With Saka, he turns up every game, and Lacaste, sadly, I hear more Lacaste in the chanting than I do with the performances this season. Matt, what was your best moment? Not so personal to you, but just the best moment as the whole fan base.
I think there's been. I'm going to say Viv scoring that last goal against Bristol. I'm going to say again Brighton. I'm getting them confused.
I'm going to say Brighton. Hello.
Actually, then again, when she came on and she put that on that through ball for Beth Mead, and Beth hit the post. That was a really fantastic moment both times. But I think I'll go for the goal that Viv scores, because it was just very instinct, and it was almost like she's back.
Yeah,
but it's too late.
I would, as a sort of a bonus one. It doesn't get thought about much anymore. But Yambiti scoring against Paris FC, just that moment.
Header.
It also was meaningless because we lost on penalties. I think if we'd gone through on penalties and got into the playoffs and maybe further, I would hold that header in much higher regard. But it was, emergency Gembiti striker like Wolfsburg, and his last goal she scored for us as well. But just the moment we thought, we've actually saved the game. How did that happen? Sadly it wasn't to be. So we've done the best game, we've done the best moment. So we'll finish with, in this section anyway, goal of the season. Plenty to choose from. So Matt, I'll come to you first.
I was oddly thinking about a goal that was scored against us, and that we've mentioned the game before, and that's Molly Pike's goal for Southampton, where she's chipped Sabrina, and it was a really fantastic goal. If you do watch it, you manage to watch it back, because it's in the highlights. It was a really fantastic goal, but I can't think of a goal that really topped that. I think the closest that probably comes to it would be Chloe's goal against Manchester United.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I kind of get behind that. That goal, added time, saved the game, got us a draw, stopped us losing 4 games in a row in the WSL, which would have been a very awful record to be in. Lottie, what was your goal of the season?
I'm gonna go for Leah Volti against Watford.
Well, yeah.
I think it was the FA Cup.
Yeah, Watford.
Yeah, FA Cup. We did win 5-1 that game.
Yep.
I think for me it's the whole build-up play. Beth has a throw or a corner. It's one of the two, and the ball sort of arrives to Vic Palova, and she kind of hops over it, and then all of a sudden this strike from Leah Volti comes out of nowhere, and it was it was magic. It was magic to see, especially when you're in the stands and it's at your end. So it was magic.
I know what I'm going to pick. I want to have a shout out for Russo's second goal against Paris near the box.
The Thunderbolt, yeah.
The Thunderbolt. Again, if we had got through on penalties, I would hold it in even higher regard. But because I've tried to mentally erase that game from my mind, I don't really think of that goal much. I am going to go for a Russo goal. And that is her first goal against Chelsea at Emirates Stadium, and not just because for a few reasons, just because of the moment. So we just scored. Amanda said just give us the lead back again, and the quick nature of it was like the double punch, and the quick nature of immediately getting the second goal straight afterwards, and not just from the goal, but the pass from Leah Volti. I mentioned it in the previous earlier. I think even this pod, the previous pod, the way she bends that ball, just an incredible pass. I mean, she might be offside, but we will cross over that. And just seeing Russo rush through and get it over the keeper and into the far post, us being 3-1 up at half time, just like we were in the Conti Cup final. And it just you're still riding that high of the second goal, the one that Amanda scored, and then suddenly you kick on another level, and you just suddenly all things are possible. And you're thinking how much further can we push this? As it turned out, just only one more goal. But that goal when Russo scored, I loved to bits, and I felt at that moment, she's finally clicked, and this is going to be the moment she kicks on and really becomes a really good striker for us this season. Turns out we needed about 10 more games before that actually happened. But again, just hints at what Russo could give us, and certainly going into next season. So that's my goal of the season. We'll move on to some of the player awards. There are some raspberries here. So disappointing player of the season. So we should say there's a disappointing player and there is a worst player of the season. So I want to try and avoid crossing the two over. So ideally go for different ones for each one. So disappointment player of the season. Lottie.
Katie McCabe. This season's been really substandard for her. Two goals?
3 goals. Just
3 goals.
Yeah,
that is below par for her, and I've just been really disappointed with her in general. So, Katie McCabe.
Katie McCabe, fair enough. I mean, this is sort of the conclusion of what we did in the player ratings. Matt, who was your disappointment of the season?
I think this is down to I'm bearing this down to 2 because we haven't seen Gio at all. And she was
didn't play this season, so she gets a pass on this one because you can't judge a player who never played.
Well, no, it's disappointing to me because I quite enjoyed watching that play, and it's disappointing to see it. So you can't really give it to someone like Lena Hurtig because it's a disappointment that she can't.
It's the disappointing of her not playing rather than her being a disappointment herself.
I would probably say Lena Hurtig on that on the fact that she's not been able to see her play.
For me, it's Frida, sadly. I know there's a player that tailed off even more, but I think we're all going to agree who the worst player of the season is. I feel it's going to be unanimous.
We've gone for a different answer. We know who the worst is from our ratings, but
for me, I have to say
disappointing and performances for me. So
Frida dropped off. And because she was player of the season last season, and maybe there's an element of sort of equilibrium that you have a really good season, you can't match that. You may have a step back, and then she'll probably go up a bit next season, and that'll be sort of her medium. But this was a poorer season for Frida. And I mean, in fairness, we should just say on her stats, despite for me and Mum having a poor season, she was our highest scoring midfielder with 8 goals. I just know that having seen her the previous season, she can offer a lot more than that. We should say that our midfield's got 13 goals, our defence got 11. And two of our defenders got 3 goals. So there's our midfield did struggle on the goal front, and Frida, just especially in the first half of the season, I know she's a much better player than that, and hopefully she can find some form next season. The worst player of the season, the Red and White Raspberry Award, who had the biggest clang of the season. I think we'll all say the same player of unison, so I'll just go 1, 2, 3. Caitlin Ford.
You boys do it. I wasn't sure.
No, I think
I was going to say she's red, she's white, she loves a Vegemite.
I think there's a new chant we could say that rhymes with red and white, but I won't say it on the pod.
No, the swearing is allocated to me today. You're not allowed.
Yes. She is not just disappointing, but just so far below the levels. And if we had the Ford of last season, would have been absolutely fine. Not this season, and I hope that she can find a form again, because she is a really good player, and that's what makes it so. It's not like she's a bad player and we're keeping her along. She is good. I'm assuming Lottie's about to sneeze here and hasn't got something. No, sorry, I got the impression I dropped a clanger.
No. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather, and people have probably noticed on YouTube I've been coughing off mic, so I do apologise.
Oh, that's fine. I was wondering where you're going. I thought we had a dodgy internet connection. No, it's a poor season from Ford. Caitlin Ford, if you will. It's just terrible. I hope that we can get her back next season, because she is such a talent. Surprise player of the season. Who was the player that went beyond your expectations? We covered this again in some of the previous episodes, but it sort of signs it all off. Lottie, who surprised you the most?
She comes from Amsterdam.
Okay.
She is an Arsenal fan. Palova. Whoa.
Yeah,
Palova. She's not so much surprise, it's more breakout for me, but same sort of category. She's absolutely been brilliant this season, and I can't wait for more.
Yeah. Matt, surprise player of the season for you?
Stina, the fact that she's had less time to come on the pitch and things like that, and but she's still coming up with really important moments. So well done to Stina.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I love Palova. I think she has really stepped up massively this season, but I'm not going to go for her. And this is essentially surprises is the advantage of having low expectations. I'm going for Kadina. I'm really surprised how competent she was in the second half of the season in some of those big crucial games. And I look back to certainly how the season started, and I was at what I expected of her. Palova, I was expecting was going to be good, and she was very good, and that's why I rate her so highly. But Kadina, I was anxious I used to be anxious when she used to come on. I think of the Man United game and think, oh no, Leah's injured, we're going to have Kadina and Lottie more. It's going to be a disaster. And it's like, no, she's actually a decent defender, and if we chisel away there, she could be more than that. So she's my surprise signing of the season. I think we could. Well, I think we know where we might go in this one, but Matt, I'll go to you first. Who was your signing of the season?
Sarah Buhadi.
Okay,
I'm joking.
Goalkeepers Union back in the goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this one's a hard one because a lot of them you can't really judge a lot of them, but I will say I think a lot of people will say Alessia, but I don't want to go down that sort of route. I think the fact that we needed a right back in, and Emily Fox has actually done really well for the first 6 months, although she's only been in for about 4 because of the Gold Cup. But I'll have to say Emily Fox. Me.
Lottie?
Amanda Ellisted.
Okay. Yeah.
Regardless of her maternity leave, she's that person we need in the air, and Amanda Ellisted.
Air Sweden.
I given how I've set my camp earlier, as much as I want to pick Russo, I can't. So I will pick Emily Fox. I can't say she's a sign of the season based on what I've said in the previous. I've snooked myself. I snooked myself. I will say Emily Fox though, and that was always going to be my answer. I've said it so much that when we discuss the signings, I can't. We are so uninitiated with NWSL. We don't know the US team. Seeing Fox and coming in and just settle so quickly and be such an upgrade on the right back slot, and just think, you summed it up the best, Lottie. Laura Wienreuter, she's going to struggle to get back into the first team now, and we thought she was our best right back last season. Player of the season, I mean, there is no other answer, is there? So I'll all three. We'll see if we say the same player. So 1, 2, 3.
Lottie
Moy, exactly.
No, not Manu Zinsberger.
No.
No, we all knew this is the thing, hasn't it? Is the player of the season's gone to Lottie Moy. The supporters club has all given it to Lottie Moy. I think it just goes to show you that everyone's just in the same boat. That there is no one else that has had a fantastic season. She keeps on smashing that roof of development. You think she's hit the line, and then next season she's gone up again. It's incredible.
Lottie, a final word on Lotta?
I think she's due a new contract, so please just get it signed.
Yeah, please do say about. I mean, that's one of the things I should say about Lotta. What I love about Lotta is not just that she's becoming an amazing player, but she's also an amazing person. And we've seen some content on the Arsenal side about the work she's doing in the communities, the work she's doing in schools. Just an unbelievable person, and to have that as well as grow on the pitch, and of course she's one of our own. And I think next season, if she stays fit, her and Leah Williamson are going to be the rock that our team is built on, and I can't wait for that.
They're going to be the wall. So
they are going to be the Leah Williamson and Lotta Wooden-Wall. But that's our final award. That's our player of the season. That's our season done. That's it. That's the end of the 2023-24 season. Lots of memories, a trophy, European qualification secured for next season. But if we're all honest, we should be doing a lot better than that. And I think we all hope that with some signings over the summer, and hopefully a proper pre-season and maybe a generous fixture list, we'll be battling at the top once again. So before we sign off for the final time this season, just a chance for us to quote our socials. Lottie, where can we find you?
You can find me at Lottie_AWFC on Twitter and Instagram. But just a word of warning, my socials are going to go quiet over the summer because I don't do transfer windows. I hate them with a passion.
Matt, where can we find you? And where can we find the pod?
You can find me at MattLR28, or you can follow the pod at VAW Pod. We are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so don't forget to share, tickle that like button, and give that subscribe button a little bit of a hug as well.
Absolutely, and we should say a massive thank you to all of you who've been watching, not just today but throughout the season. This has been our first full season of doing the VAW pod, and I've loved every minute of it, and I can't wait for next season. We should also say, if you do want to jump on and be a guest, we'd like to have you on board. So do drop us a DM on our Twitter channel. We'll see if we can get you on. If you want to follow me, it's at AdamSalter4, and if you want to watch some of the Arsenal women whilst the off season is on, you can follow at the AW Archive, where we're putting up clips of Arsenal games from yesteryear. But that's it. That is the end of the show, the season. The review is complete. Thank you very much for watching. It's been almost 2 hours, so this is going to be a fun one for Lottie to edit. Good luck with that. Thank you so much, everyone, for following us.
This is not going into 3 parts.
Well, yes, I was thinking that, but no, 2 I think is enough. Thank you, everyone, for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, commenting, and following us along. And I hope we will see you all again next season. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Arsenal. And come on, you Gunners.